Hey everybody, it's Patrick.
Hey, it's Jeffrey.
And we're back with our BioFigure talk video series.
Gotta get it right.
I know. We've got a lot to cover in this video. This one we're going to talk completely about the Castle Grayskull for Masters of the Universe Classics. Kind of look at the different versions of Grayskull that's been different incarnations.
Exactly. And
different toys of Castle Grayskull, and then sort of talk about this new one that is going to happen.
It is.
Yay! Let's go all the way back to the original prototype, Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
What do you like about that Castle Grayskull?
What do I like about the Castle Grayskull itself?
Yeah. Or what are your thoughts about that?
Well, initially, I'm not a big fan of the gun on top. Like, that's one of the first things I noticed. Like, I don't like the idea of a gun on Castle Grayskull. On such an old building, I don't think it should have something of newer technology.
That's interesting. Okay.
I like it. I've never been a big fan of the roof itself. I don't know, like the roof, like the where the shingles are.
Oh, you mean on the side?
Yeah, the side, like where the shingles are on the roof. I don't know why. I've just never like thought a big mighty castle like Castle Grayskull should have like shingles on it. I've just like it's not something that I've ever been a big fan of.
Okay.
Like I'm fine with it. It's what I've known Castle Grayskull as for a long time, but it's not something I've ever been a big fan of.
Okay. For me, that original prototype is probably one of my most favorite versions of the castle, because I like that it's extremely ghoulish looking and like almost demonic looking with the like jaggedy teeth, and it almost looks like the skull is like melting. Mm-hmm. And I liked the little tiny piece on the top of the skull, the little, like, it looks like a little pawn chess piece. I liked that, and I also really liked that the ledge on the left tower was there. So I was really disappointed when the toy came out, even though the classic toy is my favorite version of Castle Grayskull. I always kind of wish that that ledge had been included. Okay. I see your points about the shingles, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting, because I'll talk about that in a little bit.
It's like a big mighty castle, so why does it have like roofing on it?
Right, yeah. Well, and going from that to the classic toy from the 80s, what are your immediate like thoughts about that in comparison to the prototype?
It's the same, the qualms that I have with the gun and the shingles. Like that, like I noticed the difference in the pawn being missing and the ledge. But those aren't anything that stood out for me much, so I'm perfectly fine without them there. I could go either way with them.
You're fine without the ledge and the pawn?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But like, they can be there, they cannot be there. Okay. Either, it's not a major piece for me.
So what I liked the most about the classic toy was that it was very simple in that it didn't have a lot of different paint applications.
Yeah.
I loved the way the eyes, and they still do, I still have the classic toy, the eyes almost look like they're bottomless, like because of the way they applied the black. Yeah. They're very deep. I liked the depth of the skull. Yeah. And it's my favorite version of the castle. Yeah. Even though if I could have made it any better, it would have been to add the ledge and the pawn piece. Okay. So I guess that is sort of where I land.
I personally am not a big fan of the eyes on the old one. Why? Because I don't mind the black in the eyes, but I just wish they kind of faded it out a little bit, and like I wish they had like shading it out into the green instead of just having the black and then the green.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it should.
Well, right. That toy was mostly just green, a couple different shades of green in the black. Very flat.
Yeah, I think it should have just eased into the green, not just straight to the green.
And that varied a lot in the classic toys. Like every Grayskull, it almost looked like somebody took a can of spray paint with black, sprayed the eye sockets, and then walked away. Yeah. So it's all got a different. They're all a little different. So yeah. I've seen some that I like and some that I really don't like. Yeah. So. Okay, that's cool. So, so then we had the Filmation version, which was not a toy, but just the cartoon version. Yeah. Much more organic looking in a lot of ways. It
was more natural to me. More
natural, more bony, no shingles. Really, no shingles. I don't think that you could see much of that kind of stuff. So, what's your thoughts just on the Filmation Grayskull? Because there are a lot of people who wish that they would release Mattel would release a Filmation version of Castle Grayskull.
I like the bigger teeth.
Yeah.
That's okay. I do notice I do like the bigger teeth, And again with the teeth, I like how it's just got the 4 smaller teeth. I've noticed on a lot of the other ones they've got 5 smaller teeth. I like how they just have the 4 smaller teeth. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's not if it's an even number or what. But I like about the I like the 4 small teeth. But
yes, OCD.
but yeah, I like that. But and I like the more natural look that it has.
Yeah.
Because I've known like some of the other forms forms of Castle Grayskull I've seen have the rocks that all look very more perfected. That I just kind of like how it looks like it could have risen right out of the ground and looked just like this.
Yeah, and I would agree with you 100%. I like if there's a man-made-ish looking structure and a natural, organic, bony looking structure.
Yeah.
I would prefer Castle Grayskull lean more on the like nobody really knows how it was built, or
totally.
Maybe there was like some help by Titus, according to the bios, in building it, but that maybe it was built with like a giant skull or real bones of giants and stone.
Exactly.
And now covered in mold and gross things and stuff. So, and Filmation seemed to capture that tone.
Yeah.
Whereas
the shorter teeth, in my opinion, look more like vampire teeth. Whereas I like the longer teeth, like they could be like.
Yeah.
But what's that ancient animal called?
Like a saber-toothed tiger.
Saber-toothed tiger. Yeah. I like how they look longer and are more fierce. Yeah.
Okay, so then moving on from Filmation, we went right into
2002.
The 2002. Let's start with the cartoon, and Mike Young Productions cartoon, Castle Grayskull. Much less organic looking, definitely a structure.
Yeah.
More geometrical.
Which I like.
Yeah. Well, no, you like the geometrics of it, but you don't like that it's not as natural looking.
Oh no, yeah.
So they added a lot of windows to the Mike Young production. Very kind of plain.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely plain. One of the things I do like about it, is that it looks like it's really kind of carved out of stone. Like you can see where it kind of becomes the castle and where it isn't. And that's something I liked in the cartoon seeing too, is that it was a big stone column going up and down that whole opening. And I liked how it looks like it was very much just kind of carved out of stone. And not like...
Which it kind of was, because when Despondos came down...
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of created that cut.
Yeah, and that is something I like. And I like how they kind of kept the teeth longer like they did in the Filmation show. But yeah, I like that. It's very symmetrical, and it's very it doesn't have the kind of natural feel that I prefer about Castle Grayskull.
Well, so for me, I did not like the Mike Young Productions Castle Grayskull at all. I didn't think it was like nearly imposing or ghoulish enough. Okay, so moving on from that, we'll go to just briefly touch on the 2002 toy, which obviously is inspired by the Mike Young Productions cartoon. And I'll just quickly say that I didn't like that toy at all. I did not like the use of electronics. I didn't like that the window was the shape of the sword, and I did not like that they put that big cutout in that other tower, even though it almost sort of looked like a ledge. Didn't like that. I did, however, like the way that the sides open so that you ended up with 2 fault sides of the sides of Castle Grayskull instead of just 1. I thought that was really cool. And that's it for me. Didn't care for anything else. You?
Same things you have. I wish I'd stuck more. If they were gonna make one just like Mike Young's, I wish it would have been just like Mike Young's.
And plain.
Yeah, plain. Yeah.
And obviously they did that to make it a toy so that you could play with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they added the ledge on the top. And
yeah, it's understandable. Like, yeah, I understand why.
To me, it was like such a downgrade though from the 80s toy. Alright, so then moving on, we're into new territory. Finally, after all these years, there's been a new rendition of Castle Grayskull, and it's the Icon Heroes statue that's been released. That was designed by Nate Barch and Eric Chetaway, and then sculpted, I think, overseas somewhere. But very cool, and it's all 4 sides, and they've worked in a lot of... They really... Obviously, this is something they're passionate about, so they've worked in a lot of elements that are like the high-level elements that people have either A, always wanted, or B, always talked about.
Totally.
And for me, there are still... I definitely... The Castle Grayskull is by far the thing I'm the pickiest about in this entire line, so I even have, like, still nitpicks about this, but I think it's phenomenal. I would like to see some things different for the Masters of the Universe Classics toy that's now been greenlit, and I'll say what those things are, but what are your thoughts on icons of the Icon Heroes Grayskull?
My thoughts are totally really quick about it. Again, I'm going back to the natural piece of it. The stones look like very finely cut and all that. I'm not a big fan of that. I wish it was all very natural. This feels like a little artificial. That's all I'm going to have to say about it. So it's very artificial.
Yeah, it's very geometric.
I like it, but it's too artificial, I think.
Yes, and that would be okay. So I'll probably end up taking over now.
Okay.
Oh no, you can add stuff, but like in terms of like what I would love to see added to the Masters of the Universe Classics Grayskull, because it was greenlit based on drawings. So we've got the heroes, Icon Heroes image with the drawing, and you can tell that obviously the same designers are behind it. Of course, the Four Horsemen will actually sculpt the new one versus this one, but the nitpicks that I definitely have right off the top is, one, definitely would like to see it more organic looking, even if it just means taking some of the angular, real strong definition of each of the stones and softening it a little. I think that would make it look a little more melted, a little more organic.
Exactly what I want.
And I definitely think that there's an opportunity with the paint applications as well to make it look that way.
Yeah.
Specifically in these areas that are considered wood, like the shingles, the door I don't mind being brown, although I would like it to look like it's like brown, almost black, green, covered in mold, something.
Yeah.
But I do not think the shingles of the roof should be brown. I don't think the things above the eyes, the sort of support beams to the dome should be brown. Or if they're brown, they need to be like dirt brown, moss covered, gross. Because I just think that nobody's upkeeping Castle Grayskull and applying new stain and paint to that, so it shouldn't look that way. And the Icon Heroes, that's one of my nitpicks about that, is if I were to buy that castle, I know that I would need to distress that wood look somehow, because it's too new looking.
Yeah, definitely.
Eamon at Roast Google Dinner has talked about this a lot, but the structure around the eyes, definitely I like the prototype in the original toy much more, versus this sort of very like brick after brick after brick after brick cut. Do not care for that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like the Icon Hero eyes just don't look bottomless. It doesn't look ghoulish as much as even the classic toy, and I would like to see that classics one look ghoulish. The drawing for the sculpture looks more ghoulish to me than the Icon Hero. Yeah, so I think that's good.
Yeah, definitely.
I also think that the ledge on the Icon Hero is too small, and on the drawing it looks bigger. Yeah. So I think that would be positive. I mean, all in all, it could be anywhere in between those two, and it would still be phenomenal.
It would.
But like I said, this is the thing I'm the pickiest about, so these are my, like, I'm very dialed in. The other thing, it's so stupid maybe, but not to me, is the window where the sorceress always stood. You can see even in the prototype, see that pattern around the window? It always looks like just a small layer of rock around the window, but then if you look at the Icon Heroes one, there's been almost this design around it. Well, I thought that they had embellished that and maybe taken that too far, but it is in the prototype. You can see it, but because the prototype was one flat color, it's not nearly as apparent than it is on the Icon Heroes one, where they added that depth of stone. Yeah, see how they made that? And I don't care for that. I just think that that should just... I like it, and obviously it makes sense, but I just think it should be less. This is one of those things where I almost think just a little bit of the black wash and some color highlights here and there, less might be more. Yeah, definitely. Because if you look at that classic toy, there's not much paint on it, and so to me, that was one of the fun things, is you could stare at that classic toy and really look for details, as opposed to them being painted in your face. Okay. So. And I really want the bridge to be a jaw bridge, which Scott Knight, like Toy Guru, said that it would be a jaw. So. Sounds good. Not that I have much to say about it. Yeah. Okay. What do you guys all think? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Post comments on He-Man.org forum or on the YouTube channel. But we'd love to know, like, what are your favorite things about Castle Grayskull? What's your favorite rendition of Castle Grayskull? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Definitely. Yeah. Anything else for you to say? Nope, I'm good. So we'll start our video series back up. We'll resume doing action figure bio talks at the next video. But until then, good journey. Good journey.